And I heard, as I listened to people walking around and talking, the thing that I heard over and over and over again was, I love you. I love you so much. We loved her. And I think that's really important. I'm Vicki Wood Parrish. I'm a pastor in the area and a chaplain at the hospital. I didn't get to know Robin until in talking, I realized, I know her shop. I've been in there. I've talked to her. And you just never know the ties that bring people together. So I knew her in one very small way. You knew her in so many ways, and so many different ways. I think it's amazing that so many people are here today when the word had to go mouth by mouth, people telling other people. Robin's faith was in a universe that was ordered and had purpose and gave meaning to life. It was in a plan for life, that there was something that you were meant to do, and that's what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating her life and how she did it. There is a passage in the Old Testament from Ecclesiastes that says there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. He has made everything beautiful in its time. And then the writer of Ecclesiastes says, I know there's nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. Amen. Amen. As we gather here today, so many memories. And I talked to Dana, I talked to Carol Blaney. And I know that things were not always good and not always easy for Robin. But there were so many things that she was good at and so many things to celebrate. She was a talented artist. I hear there's a floor somewhere in Salem that she painted. And her mother says, I hope they never take it away. I'm thinking, it's going to be worn out someday. But her mother just loved that. She did the nature pictures, beautiful one up here of the barn. She ran a business, and I understand she'd had about 5 businesses before the glass knob. She was caring and creative. She'd always been self-employed. She had the gumption to go out and do that. But we are all many-sided. So she was also quiet. She was careful about who she loved. And probably, well, I was going to say Pearl was at the top, but Pearl was probably high on the list. Because I found out listening to you today that even though she was married, she had a mistress. It was called her business. So the 3 of you were at the top, along with family and her other friends. She was willing to trust to the universe. And she also believed that there was a path laid out, as I said, in front of you, predestined. It's already been determined where things are going to go, and this is the road we are on. And she believed it is what it is. People are complicated, and life is complicated. And in Ecclesiastes I read before, it says there's a time for everything. And sometimes our choice of when is not the way we would wish it. Yet there's also hope. In this fight, in this life between good and evil, good will win. I read once about a policeman who was asked, how can you continue to be a policeman in New York City when there's so much evil around you? And he answered, because I know good will win. Well, how do you know? He said, because bad people fight each other, but good people work together. And Robin would be on that side, on the side of good. and working with people. Not always perfect, but is there anybody in here who is? Not always happy, but is there anybody in this room who is? She was a normal person. And Ecclesiastes said that I read said there's nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. There's also a passage in Ecclesiastes, or in Revelation, the end of the Christian Bible, that says there will come a day when there will be no pain and there will be no tears and death will end. There will be no more death. I think we all look for that day, because in the meantime, when you love the way people were talking as I came in, you hurt. When you love, you know loss. There are going to be several people who are talking today. I think Paul and John and Dana all have something to say, and you can either come up here where there's a mic, or you can stand where you want to. Who wants to be